Elizabeth Ashley, the Secret Healer. Welcome to my channel, list of essential oils and their uses. And this video is essential oils for stress and anxiety. So first of all, I'm really sorry that you are here, because that says that things don't feel great in your life at the moment. And I take that burden of responsibility very seriously. To clarify, I'm not an essential oil vendor. I am a clinical aromatherapist, and so I want to come at this solely from the viewpoint of trying to help you feel better. Now, when I put together everything that I wanted to say in terms of all aspects of that, my PowerPoint came to something ridiculous like 120 pages. So that would take hours and hours. So what I've decided to do is split it down, and this is part of a series of videos for essential oils for mental health. And I want you to go down to the description and say, right, just before I watch this, is this the right one for me? Because there are ones for depression, for PTSD, all manner of different things. So just make sure that this is the right one for you. Also, I'm not going to spend time talking about my accreditations and my qualifications. Probably what's behind me probably gives you enough comfort that I probably do know what I'm talking about. But if you are reluctant to believe that without hearing my accolades, have a look. There is an About Me video that tells you more about me. Also, another video about what are essential oils, how do they work, and do essential oils really work? Because we live in a world where information is skewed, and in essential oils in particular it's very skewed. So I wanted to put a very objective look at that. So if you think, right, okay, I understand what she's told me about stress and anxiety, how do I feel about that information? Have a look at that video. That will tell you where's the pitfalls, where's the opportunities. So that is essential oils for stress and anxiety. Let's think about that then. I get very excited about stress. It's not many bits, that's a sentence that doesn't get said very often, because it's something that can be helped quite easily with essential oils. There's lots of things that I can say essential oils can treat. They don't do the whole job, but stress, yeah, they do a great job. Suddenly went very hot. I had to see if my heater was on. Stress is a great source of problems in people's lives. Obviously, we have stress-related conditions, things like arthritis, rheumatism, eczema, migraine, period problems. Yeah, period problems definitely made worse by stress. So it's something that I take very, very seriously. It's funny, I always think it's a non-word, isn't it? You know, the word stress, so I feel stressed. It doesn't mean anything. But long-term stress, very, very dangerous. So I've got some statistics that I think are fascinating. So 74% of adults in the UK have felt so stressed at some point in the last year, they felt overwhelmed and unable to cope. Now, those statistics are from 2018. I would suggest this year, in amongst the lockdown and the COVID and all of the wonders that have come with that, floods, locusts, I think it's more. I think it will definitely be more than 74%. So if you're feeling stressed, I don't think you're on your own. I think most of us have felt overwhelmed at some point in the past few weeks. 81% of women said it, as compared to only 7% of men. Still a lot though, isn't it? 67. 83% of 18 to 24-year-olds said this, as compared to 65% of people over 55. So it's a thing that affects youngsters more than older people by the looks of things. 32% of adults said they'd experienced suicidal feelings as a result of stress. 35% of women said this, compared to 29% of men. So that's quite similar. 39% of 18 to 24-year-olds said this, compared to 25% of adults age 55 and over. 16% of adults said they self-harmed, as a result of stress. 18% of women said it compared to 13% of men. 29% of 18 to 24-year-olds said this compared to 6% of adults over the age of 55. So it's serious stuff. Serious stuff. Now, I meant to say right at the beginning, if you don't want to listen to the statistics and stuff, fine, absolutely fine. If you look in the description, you will see that I have put at what point I start talking specifically about the essential oils. But I think it's important to put context too. So if you feel like you want to jump forward, fine. That's where you find it. So this idea of stress, what is the word? Well, it was first coined in the 1930s by a gentleman called Hans Selye. And he actually coined it as a physics point of view. It's the how much stress, how much tensile pressure something can take before it breaks. When you put that in the context of the body and the psyche, it's no longer a non-word, is it? How much can I take before I snap? That's actually what it makes. And it's a response in the nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system responds by putting us into a fight and flight situation where we could, if we wanted to, jump in a tree away from a saber-toothed tiger and run as fast as we can. And all of the resources in the body are pooled to the essential processes that do that. So to make glycogen, to make the muscles go faster and stronger. So things like your skin, for example, doesn't need that power. So if you are living for in stress for a long time, you will see that your skin, it is an organ, it's the largest organ in the body, no longer receives nutrients, and you get that grey look, that dry look. That is a stress response. And of course we have it in the gut, in the heart, all over. You know, everything responds to stress. And the sympathetic system responds to that stress. That's what makes us jump in the tree away from the tiger. The nervous system is equipped with another system called the parasympathetic nervous system. Fight and flight, rest and restore. The problem is, if we've been in a stress situation for a long time, the parasympathetic system can no longer fight it and bring it down. We probably shouldn't use the word fight because it's all about peace. So where we've got fight and flight, we've got the pupils dilate to be able to see the horror more clearly. Our heart rate goes faster. We breathe in a more shallow manner. Lots of different things. Rest and restore obviously mainly takes place in sleep, but it slows the heart rate down, slows the breathing, brings the pupils down, brings the goosebumps down, all of those things. But after a period of time, if there's lots and lots of the stress hormone called cortisol in the system, then it becomes very difficult for the parasympathetic to be able to deal with that. Now, the other interesting thing I think about stress is your stress is different to my stress. So I'll be candid because this is an intimate situation where only anxious people are going to sit and talk to each other. So for me, travelling makes me anxious. I worry about money. I worry about my kids. I'm not an anxious person, but I do have this perpetual what if going on. You might say, well, actually, I don't find any of that stressful, but I have a high powerful job full of deadlines and they really stress me out. Now me, deadlines, 10 a penny, make me work harder. But if you're the kind of person that finds deadlines stressful, then your stress is different to mine. And so then from that point of view, how do we go about treating it with aromatherapy? That's interesting. Well, the strange thing is, it doesn't matter what your stressor is, your body reacts in the same way. So it triggers a process in the mind, in the brain, called the HPA axis. H, hypothalamus. P, pituitary, A, adrenals. That comes after a part of the brain called the amygdala goes, whoa, that looks a bit frightening to me. And the hypothalamus says, yeah, all right, I'll respond to that. In between that, amygdala, sympathetic nervous system, fight and flight. Parasympathetic is ruled by the ventromedial prefrontal cortex. So this is something that I talk about when I go to train aromatherapists overseas. I like doing this, so I'm going to tell you about my tigers, right? So where I say to you that I am a worrier, I'm married to the strong, silent one who never worries about anything. He's so laid back. He is so laid back. And everything is just very clear and black and white to him. We do not have shades of grey. Certainly do not have 50 shades of grey. So imagine that we went to the zoo. And I go, I love the zoo, but tigers. What if a tiger gets out? And he goes, no, that's not going to happen, is it? It's behind bars. And I go, but it might. Well, we were by the bars and we saw that they were not rusty. They were perfectly stable. They're well looked after. They're nice and safe behind the bars, aren't they? Right? So imagine then that now I am replaced by the amygdala, because the amygdala is still worried about the tiger. And the strong silent one is replaced by the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, who is chill. He is chill. So the amygdala goes, yeah, but what if they're hungry, right? If they could get out if they're hungry, yeah? And the ventromedial cortex goes, you saw that red lorry go around with the meat. You saw that and not hungry. And the amygdala goes, yeah, but what if they just didn't fancy that kind of meat today and they want red-headed aromatherapist meat today? And the ventromedial prefrontal cortex goes, right, we have just gone to the realms of stupidity now. I am out of here. You just carry on. I'm not going to be able to stop you. You've decided this is going to happen in your brain. I'm just not going to bother trying to stop it anymore. And that is exactly what happens in a stress response. That eventually the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, or the VMPFC, says, I'm not even going to bother now. I'm just not even going to bother. And then what happens is we have hypersensitivity and pain. So things like fibromyalgia kick in. Definitely lots more pain responses. Anxiety, depression, because we are absolutely flooded with stress hormones that cannot be controlled any longer. Interesting. Think about too, the adrenals, HPA, hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenals. Adrenals send out a stress hormone. Lots of stress hormones actually. Adrenaline is one that we all know, but cortisol. Cortisol's a super duper. Everybody talks about cortisol as if it's the bad guy. No, it's not. Anti-inflammatory. It's super duper stuff. And when we secrete it at small amounts, then the body goes, great, I'm going to heal myself. I'm going to take everything away from all of those other systems, and I'm just totally going to work on anti-inflammatory, because any kind of inflammation in the body is going to slow me down, and I need that glucogen to be able to leap up into the tree. The problem is, if the ventromedial prefrontal cortex can no longer switch off the amygdala tells the HPA axis, keep sending, keep sending, keep sending. So it keeps on sending adrenaline and noradrenaline and cortisol. But after a while, there's so much cortisol swimming in the body that it kind of turns on the axis. First of all, the body doesn't create any more cortisol. So there's nothing in short-term measures to be able to switch off inflammation. So we have these inflammatory situations. Physically, inflammation in the body. So inflamed skin, inflamed joints, but also inflamed mental processing, inflamed emotional processing. So everything's like, wah! Because it can't be turned off by the VMPFC because it's gone sat in the cafe. It's looking at koalas, it's not interested anymore. So this is really important, that we have to contain the cortisol. So how do we do that? Well, we do that with essential oils, because essential oils have this fantastic affinity with the amygdala and with the VMPFC to say, calm down the sympathetic response. And that's not just the what's going on in the brain, calming down, relaxing the breathing. So we have deeper, slower breathing. It calms down the palpitations, brings down the blood pressure. But also it encourages the VMPFC to get out the cafe and come back and go, how was it? You all right then? Come on then. I know. Let's go and have a look. I don't think you're great being by the tigers. How about penguins? Let's go look at penguins. Distracts you, calms you, allows everything else to kick in. The cortisol comes down. Everything else comes down. We're breathing slower. We're feeling calmer. We're sleeping better. All of that can be done using essential oils. So we're going to look at the essential oils in a moment, but I want to stress something before we move, that it's important to be able to access the science part of aromatherapy, because otherwise why would you believe it? But I think there's a tendency now to try to go too deeply into the science, because the science came later. The science was put in place to explain what we could already see. That lavender calms. That myrrh makes us feel really, really deeply tranquil. That frankincense slows the breath. These things predate science by so many thousands of years, right? So we're going to look at the oils to begin with from a scientific view. But as we go deeper and deeper, we go more and more. Just how does it make you feel? Because that is the most important thing. So let's go into the oils. So onward with the oils. So I'm going to use some props. I'm going to use some cards from these, the Tongue of the Trees cards, which are some cards that I designed with my colleague Ylang Ylang, who's a Hungarian aromatherapist. We're going to talk solely about the emotional effects here, what it does to the body, but how it makes you feel. And there is a designated channel called the Tongue of the Trees, which is our channel as well, which goes much more deeply into how to use that particular essential oil. So what is grapefruit essential oil good for? Shows you the physical stuff, shows you the emotional, mental and spiritual stuff, but also the safety. So you might watch this video and go, I didn't really learn that much about the oil though. That's fine. All I want to do is direct you to the one where you can. So let's start off. We'll start off a little bit scientifically, like I have in all the videos, because on each video, the one oil that I feel is the most important thing for the way that you are feeling right now is lavender. Boring, boring, boring. I know, because everybody goes, oh, it's a bit basic, isn't it? Yep. It's a bit like, you know, when you're learning to write and you learn the word the, and you know you're going to have to use the a million times through your life. Doesn't matter what you write, you will need the word the. Lavender is the. It's fundamental. It's so relaxing. It's so calming. It's so sedative. Makes you feel a little bit drowsy, I guess. It would be definitely an oil that I would use in the evening rather than going to work. I wouldn't want to have it on in the car, for example, because then it just makes you feel a bit too mellow. But in terms of getting you to sleep, so important. Switching off your anxiety generally, lavender is so important. So I'm going to show you a very basic technique. So cup of hot water, 1 drop of essential oil. Should have taken the lid off. I haven't got enough hands. So I have to say, this is now going cold. This would be boiling water. We just go 1 drop, and I do like using lavender because it doesn't take too long. 1 drop, and we sit with it here. We do not drink it. Please don't drink it. Apart from the safety issues, it tastes disgusting. You don't need to. What we want to do is to alter the brain patterns. So we sit like this, and we simply relax and breathe the vapours. The steam makes it lift off so quickly. The oils are going, or the molecules going up the nose, to the back of the nose, to the olfactory bulb. On the olfactory bulb there are 100,000 receptors that send the information to the brain to be interpreted. You know, it's thought that around about 3 million different fragrances are recognised by the brain. So your brain taps into memories and stuff here, but it also works on the same part of the brain that's in charge of memory, in charge of cognition, learning, emotions. So as you smell, it changes your emotions. And it just is so calming. So lavender is the first one. If we want to think about what it does in the body, well, it taps into a few different important receptors to do with mood. 5-HT1A, clever way of saying serotonin receptor. Serotonin's in charge of many different functions, about 30 different functions in the body, but in particular mood modulation. So any discrepancies in that area will result in anxiety and depression. So it stabilizes those. And it also has an affinity with the dopamine 3 receptor. Dopamine 3 receptor, again, deficiencies in dopamine 3 activity result in, we think, anxiety and depression. That's what it seems to look like. Also, incorrect signalling within the cholinergic system, anxiety and depression. Lavender taps into that. It also has, and probably the most important thing for us to think about at the moment, it taps into the GABA receptors. So glutamate raises the excitatory tone of the system. In other words, it makes us more fractious, faster, cleverer with it. You know, yeah, it's great. Helps us remember. It's kind of morning upbeat stuff. GABA has an inhibitory tone on the nervous system. So in other words, it goes slow everything down, slow everything down, slow everything down. If we're doing that, we feel calmer. Lavender. That's the last bit of science we're going to do, because really all of these things replicate. So if you look at the card, lavender supports. We feel supported. That in itself helps with stress, doesn't it? Roman chamomile. On every video I sing Roman chamomile's message because that's what I was put on earth to do. She sings, "Que sera, sera, whatever will be, will be." She dances around on her thin little stalk, and she just moves with the wind, and she's very flexible, and she doesn't break, and she just looks up at the sun and enjoys the clouds, and she releases everything bad. And that is what Roman chamomile does for stress. You just don't give a monkey's ass. Chill. It's so chill. Just release. You know, if you feel angry at stuff, release it. That is chamomile. Whatever will be, will be. Next we have geranium. So I don't know if you have it abroad. We have a radio programme on Radio 4 in the UK called Desert Island Discs. And on Desert Island Discs, you're invited to say items that you would take to Desert Island and your particular records. I'd take geranium. The most helpful, the most useful, the most beautiful, the safest, the easiest, the most just fab essential oil there is. It's floral, so it smells so pretty. You know, it smells like geraniums. But it's rosy and it's orangey and it's lemony and it's like eating Turkish delight to smell it, you know. It's balancing, really, really balancing. So calming, so you just feel like the world's lifting off. Now, stress in particular, where you feel like there is this tensile pressure, geranium is fab, because it just feels like it's lifting. So whilst I recommend for all of the oils to do the 5 minutes inhaling, breathing in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4, sit for about 5 minutes, just contemplating, meditating, cogitating on the scent, on the fragrance. But for geranium, also I would say stick it in the bath. 3 drops in the bath just makes the world drift away. It's beautiful, especially if you're hormonal. Speaking of hormones, the more expensive girl, rose. Marital stress in particular. Are you married to somebody who's just not that nice? Children's stress. Are they teenage and have been a bit of a pain? Are you postnatal? Do you have a toddler who has, I was going to say, put cake into the VCR? That's showing my age a little bit. But you know the stuff. It's just never ending. It doesn't stop. It's on all the time. And it's relationship based, Rose. It's expensive. So, whilst it's not quite as good, I would still go geranium if you haven't got some rose already. We were talking about how the sympathetic system kicks hard, so you feel it somatically. You can't breathe. You're big eyes, you know, all of that stuff. If you're feeling palpitations in particular, straight away get some Ylang Ylang. Now, I'm not going to talk about essential oils topically at all in this. If you sign up to the email course, we look at blends and stuff like that to use it topically, to put it in the bath. But here, this is my favourite, followed by this. This is an aroma pendant. I put this on, I got it stuck on my earrings earlier, so I have to be careful not to do that. You wear it around your neck. You can get all different types. I like this one because it's got a back on it, so the oils can't touch my skin, right? Sometimes you can have those lava bead bracelets and stuff and it's on your skin, and then of course you've got to dilute the oils because you don't want them to be irritating your skin. We put 1 little drop in there, and then I drop it down there to stifle the fragrance. Now I'm saying it now is because I use it a lot for Ylang Ylang. Ylang Ylang is so good for blood pressure, for hormones. It's euphoric, it's sensuous, it's happy. So imagine that you're going to Madagascar. It comes from Madagascar. It's a tree in the Madagascar, grows in Madagascar. It means flower of flowers. You're coming on your boat and you're coming up to the beautiful sandy beach, and you can see the trees, and it's the sky's blue and everything's, there's a slight breeze, so everything's going, and all these beautiful girls come in with their grass skirts and their gorgeous leis, and that's it. That's Ylang Ylang. The leis are made of Ylang Ylang flowers actually, That's what they are. But that feeling of delight of, oh my goodness, look how beautiful this is. Oh, this feels special. This feels something really amazing. This is a moment in time. That's Ylang Ylang. That feeling of absolute euphoria. That is fleeting. And as such, you can't use it for very long. Because afterwards you'll go, bleh, too much, giving me a headache, making me feel sick. Because you've gone too deep into it. So just take it off. Take it off. Put another oil on if you want to. Whatever. Another one that's quite heady. Jasmine. So beautiful. Moonlit night. Sitting in the arbour. Sitting outside the Taj Mahal. Beautiful night. It's balmy. It's romantic. It's sensuous. It's worlds far away. You're on your holidays. It's a captured moment in time. There's a Sanskrit saying that I always say. It says, with jasmine, there can be no worries. Because you are absolutely engulfed in the flame of the fragrance. It's passionate. It's in the moment. And it's very hard to feel stressed and feel anxious when you are moved to that moment. But likewise, its job is to distract you from the actual moment. It's very, very sexy. So is Ylang Ylang, actually. It's the flowers. The flowers are sexy. I mean, what are essential oils? They are chemical messengers. And the flowers send out pheromones to get pollinated. You know, these are sex drugs. Sex, drugs and rock and roll. Speaking of rock and roll. Clary sage, beautiful. It says on the bottom, clairvoyance. It's a bit of a trick word because clairvoyance actually means clear sight. Clairvoyance. And what it means is, you know how that you kind of are irrational? No, not you. I'm never irrational. You. And somebody says something and normally you would be like, yeah, it's really funny. Normally you're like, why? Why do you think that's the right thing to say to me? That says, let's look at this again. Let's just take an angle here. Are you sure? Are you sure that was them? Maybe this is you. Maybe this is your hormones. Absolutely the most important hormonal oil there is. Like I say on all the videos. However, if you like a tipple, if you're having a glass of red, beautiful, but do not have the clary sage. You will have such a headache in the morning. Such a headache. You feel great at the time because it makes you feel very drunk, very trippy, very euphoric. But the next day you have an axe in your head. Beautiful, beautiful Melissa. Joy. I've written it on the card. She is. She's like the beautiful meadow, full of flowers, full of innocence, full of just everything that happened before the bad stuff. She's just lovely. She's expensive. If you've got one in the garden, it's a lemon balm. If you've got a lemon balm in the garden, you go, wow, it's so strong. You would expect that it would give you lots of essential oil. But the yield is minuscule. I think it's 0.03%. So it's tiny. So you need a lot of plant to make the oil. Sorry, we've got a cacophony of dogs now. Having to go outside. But so you do need an awful lot of Melissa to make Melissa essential oil. So therefore, it is adulterated to make it economically viable. So you would look for either Melissa type or Melissa true. True Melissa, you will spot a mile off because it's like 50, 60, 70 quid. It's a lot of money, but it's all lemon balm. Melissa type is adulterated with lemon verbena, another one of my favourite oils. Smells exactly the same. Exactly the same. So if you are using it for inhalation, yes, get the cheap stuff. Get the plant out the garden. You know, don't think it has to be the essential oil. It really doesn't. This is aromatherapy. This is using the aroma. That will, you'll be like a bee. The bees love Melissa. Melissa means bee. Bee priestess. You'll be a bee priestess. Absolutely joyful. Joyful. This is a rare one that not many people use. I've written a book about Monarda. Motivation. She's very, very yin. Yin is feminine, cool, passive. So when you become yin, you become very yielding. You stop with the fight. You stop with the antagonism. But Monarda in Native American medicine is elk medicine. Elks are strong and powerful and peaceful. And elk girls like to be together all of the time. They have this beautiful feminine union. But what elk medicine takes consideration of is A, their support network, but B, the power of withdrawal. So whether you decide to go into your sweat lodge, or you go on your dream walk, or you isolate yourself from everybody else, with elk medicine, you understand they will still be there when you come back. So if you are feeling very stressed and you feel like people are going to think you're being funny if you move out and you decide, no, I'm just not going to come out for a bit. Thanks for inviting me out for a drink, but I just need a bit of space. Sometimes you can stop having that freedom because you think they're going to be really funny about it. Monarda goes, I don't think they are. I don't think they are. They're not going to take it personally. You need to think of you. You need to be passive and calm and sleeping and resting and everything parasympathetic. Beautiful. Also good for coughs and colds. Frankincense. I'm doing it again. Safeguard. Very comforting. I use frankincense a lot because it slows the breath. And when you slow the breath, you slow the mind. So it's very meditative, you know, it's very good for meditation, for prayer, that kind of thing. But also, if you've got a cough, you can get the air in, you know, that feeling if you've got asthma, potentially your asthma is worse because of your stress. And that feeling of, oh my goodness, I can get air in. Oh, I can't. So refreshing. That is frankincense. Just very slowing, very calming. But oh my goodness, you feel like you're rejuvenating your whole body because you can get oxygen in at last. And with frankincense, usually there is myrrh. Not such a commonly used essential oil, I have to say. It's very, very, very deep, grounding, pacifying medicine. More kind of traumas and shocks, whereas frankincense is more your everyday stuff. Although I have to take this opportunity to tell you that it is endangered. It's thought that 95% of our frankincense trees will be gone by 2050 if we don't stop using it as much. There's lots more of this. So, very similar. Although if you're interested in the chakras, the crown chakra is about cosmic connection, spirituality, universal truths. The root chakra is to do with security, feeling safe, the way that you've been brought up, the foundations, the beliefs that you feel on the deepest level. Frankincense is crown chakra, myrrh is root chakra. So you can see that the safety mechanism would be the same. We would say safety and comfort, but coming at it from a different point of view. I've got 3 more left, and these are all base notes like myrrh. So down there, feeling safe, feeling grounded, feeling anchored. First of all, patchouli. Harmony, if I remember rightly. Yeah, harmony. Patchouli drags all the energy that's going on in the head, where you're going, and this, and I can't sleep, and I can't do that, and I can't do my work, I can't concentrate, I can't have sex, I can't do anything because my head won't stop. Patchouli goes, ugh. And you go, it's gone. It's gone. Because it's in the body, you have, and sometimes fidgety, but it's very, very calming. So not often. More, it's get up and go. So if you feel like you're being stopped in life because your thoughts are just taking all of your energy and there's nothing left for your body, patchouli is beautiful. And I must advocate on behalf of the plant, because everybody thinks I don't like the smell of patchouli. No, if you're thinking of the 1970s one, it was synthetic. Patchouli is delicious. Give it a chance. Sandalwood. Another one that is endangered. And you might notice this one's not special. Look, there's no D on the end of my sandalwood, but we spotted that before they went into production, so there is on the other ones, on the ones that you'd buy. Sandalwood Mysore, Indian, very, very, very endangered. But now it's grown in places like Australia, and sustainably so. Fantastic, that's how it should work. Again, meditative, calming, soothing, very, very passive. Beautiful, very masculine root chakra. Last but not least, we will talk more in depth about this one in the email course. Vetiver. Vetiver again, so tranquil, so tranquil. It's like your mind has had a blanket put over it and just sent it to sleep. Makes you feel grounded, centered, more in control. Very, very masculine. Where Monarda was yin, that is yang. So now we are quiet, but we are active. We are motivated. We are energetic. It's very, very lovely medicine. So those are your best oils to use. How you use them, I've shown you a couple of ways that you use it with an aroma pendant. You use it with inhalation out of your mug. I've said you can put it in the bath. If you want to go much more deeply into this, come and join me on my free email course, where I show you more of the intricacies of how to get essentials for mental health working to help you feel better. So that is the best essential oils for stress and anxiety.
So you get your phone, you turn it this way up, and then there's a little red subscribe button. Turn it grey by clicking it, and then there's a little bell. Click that and press all at the bottom of your phone or tablet or computer. It'll say you will receive all notifications, and then there's a little hand with a thumbs up. Click that, it'll turn it blue and it says added to your liked videos, and there will be comments, and if you want to, you can send a comment and say like hi's to mum and dad, like, and then the link to the next video will be in the description below underneath the video. So bye.